Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Savvy Cast. This is Jamie, and I'm so glad that you're joining today, whether you're watching on YouTube or listening to the podcast. Today, I'm sharing my facelift experience. I've had a lot of questions about that. I'm a midlife influencer, so I get a steady stream of questions asking about, have you had a facelift? What are your thoughts? Can you give your advice? Can you recommend a doctor in your area? So I get a lot of that and thought that this would be something that would be helpful, hopefully, to a lot of you for me to share on this podcast and on this YouTube, because midlife women, most or a lot, are thinking about or kicking the tires of a facelift. If you're not, that is perfectly fine. If you are, that is perfectly fine. It's a very personal decision, and I feel like, given my platform, I share so many things that why would I be silent or mum about this? Because it's something that I did, and it's something that I would do again. And it's something that I think can make a very big difference in the way you feel about yourself, not your self-worth, but just the way you feel about yourself. We get our hair done. We get our nails done. We exercise. We try to do everything we can to look and feel our best. And that's just one of the many things in the arsenal that we have at our disposal. So I'm just going to share my experience. So I have 10 points about my plastic surgery, my facelift, that helped me make the decision and get through the process and give me the end results that I desired. So number one, and this is very, very important, I was very, very intentional about choosing the right doctor. There are many, many plastic surgeons, and they all have different philosophies. Many of them have different methods and different ways of performing facelifts, and their bedside manners are all different. And I believe that for something as major as a facelift, you need to make sure that this doctor's bedside manner makes you feel comfortable, no matter how good he or she might be. You want the bedside manner to be one where you enjoy your visits, where you feel free to call, you feel free to ask questions. And you also want to be very, very clear on what methodology they use or what technique they use for facelifts. There may be doctors that do endoscopic and deep plane. So you need to just make sure you know exactly what you are getting. So I was very intentional, and I will just tell you that the doctor that I chose, I just found out, like I made a call before I hopped on this podcast, this very week, stopped doing any surgery and is now only doing injectables. But I used Dr. Michael Clinton with Reveal Beauty. He was the perfect one for me. Loved him. And I chose him. I think I interviewed or had a consultation with 3. And he, to me, felt like, and he's not that much older than me, but it felt like more of a father figure and almost like Santa Claus. He was kind. He was warm. He was not pushy. He was gentle, and I loved him from the get-go. And I had also seen another very well-known physician in town. I felt that he was very sterile, very cold, businesslike. I just had no rapport with him whatsoever. And his technique for facelifts was a more dramatic technique. Dr. Clinton repeated several times, and this just absolutely stuck with me because it was what I wanted. He said, you will go out to lunch with your friends after you've healed, after about 2 weeks, and they will look at you and say, I don't know what you've done, but you look refreshed. He said, you will look like yourself, but better. And that is what I wanted. I did not want to look different. I wanted to just look like a better version of myself. So that is the reason intentionality about your doctor is extremely important. Number 2, my goal was refinement, not reinvention. I was not trying to become a different Jamie or a new Jamie. I just wanted to tighten and improve what was sagging and what was naturally and with age going downward. Everything was falling, and I just wanted my lower face and neck to match how energetic and healthy I felt everywhere else. When I went to Dr. Clinton, his, I guess, workup, you'll get a workup, what your doctor recommends. His recommendations were pretty minimal. They were a lower facelift. There was nothing above the cheeks. Now, he did say that he could do a lower bleph and an upper bleph if I wanted, but I chose not to do that, and he told me I did not need a brow lift. The other doctor that I went to, the workup, you would have thought that I needed everything in the world. The chart, it had everything. Upper, lower, brow lift, smash, lip. I mean, I was walking out thinking, oh my goodness. And the picture that would be what I would look like after, it was lovely, but it did not look like me. I compared those two and I thought, for me, this Dr. Clinton is exactly what I need. I just want to look fresher, more rested, more like myself. So everyone, we all have our own goals. So if your goal is dramatic, I'm going in here and I'm going to hit it guns a-blazing and I want to look like not just myself, but myself 1,000 times better, then you can definitely find a doctor who will do that for you, and that's perfectly fine. But if you are more in the camp that I was and you want to look just like yourself, but a little better, a little tighter, a little fresher, and you really are not interested in your friends looking at you thinking, oh my goodness, look at that, she had a facelift, then you can find that doctor as well. So be very clear to yourself where you can be clear to your doctor. Are you looking for reinvention or just refinement? Number 3, I focused below the nose for a reason. The reason is what bothered me, and that's important that you know that what bothered me was the gravity below the nose. My jowls, lower cheeks, and the neck. I had a gullet. A gullet is sort of like a turkey neck, very clear. When I would film, I would so clearly see that. And when I would lower my chin, it was worse. Nothing else bothered me, so why would I touch anything else? So I strictly addressed what was bothering me. I didn't want the shape of my eyes to change, and I will say this, be very, very, very careful. I have a friend who is a dermatologist, and she sees women all day, every day. And before I had my facelift, she said, Jamie, do not get talked into a brow lift that you do not need. And her opinion, because she does all my injectables, she says, you do not need a brow lift. And she told me that she sees women who have had brow lifts that they did not need, and their eyes change shape. So they don't look like themselves after the surgery. Now, maybe over time things settle, and it's not always a bad thing that you don't look exactly the same. I mean, when we get Botox, we don't look exactly the same as we did before. But her advice to me really, really stuck. She said, don't do that. We can address all of that maybe with, if you have forehead wrinkling, which I do, but we address that with Botox. So, okay. Number 4, I had an endoscopic facelift. And there's endoscopic and there's deep plane. And the reason I did endoscopic is it's more about repositioning and just lifting the tissue where it used to be, keeping everything more natural. It doesn't go as deep and it's not as dramatic. It's a lot less recovery time. So endoscopic work is going to allow you to get back to your day-to-day quicker. I think, if my memory serves me correctly, that I was in Target for something about 8 to 9 days after the surgery. I had to wear a hat because I still, had some very visible scarring, but I felt great. You will need to, in your consultation, decide is endoscopic for you or is deep plane? How deep do you want to go? And how much recovery time are you willing to endure? My recovery was so easy. Number 5, I wanted people to say that I looked rested, not ask what I had done. If someone could not quite put their finger on what I had done, I considered that a win. And the test of all tests, as we were leading small group, the month, it was February, so we were about to kick into our small group. One of my very dearest friends that was in the group, I was so afraid she was going to notice, and she's the kind, she would say something. She never knew that I'd had a facelift. I had to tell her. It was over a year after I had done it. We were on vacation together. We were playing some word game, our families, and I said, you never, ever asked me about my facelift. She said, I never knew. So to me, that was a win. So just decide, do you want other people to know and to ask you, what have you done? Or do you want people not to know and not really know what is different about you? Number 6, different seasons of life call for different approaches. I was 57. A deep plane facelift, I think, is appropriate for so many people, and that's their decision. But for me at 57, I did not feel like I needed such a dramatic surgery. So look at the season of life that you're in and just look at your face and just your overall what bothers you or what you would like to improve, and let that be your guide. And consider, is this something I would ever want to tweak afterward, or is this a one and done? I don't ever want to think about it again. And that's another question you can ask yourself. Number 7, when you've had a facelift, and if you share that with friends and you have friends or family members who've done things, their choices will be different. I think that we should respect each other's different choices, whether it's to have plastic surgery or not, whether to have a milder, an endoscopic versus a more major deep plane. I think that it's so important that we avail ourselves of the opportunity that's best for us, but never judge or never act like or feel like that we were less than or better than our sisters, our friends, because that's just not what any of us want to do. Number 8, I saw my facelift as maintenance, not a one and done. I wanted to just sort of try to stay ahead of things rather than waiting until everything required a major overhaul. I did not, even though I technically could have gotten a little bit of fat removed with a lower bleph, I thought it's not bad enough for me to do that right now. And I think sometimes we can get in well, I'm going under, I may as well do this, this, and this. I may as well throw this in because I'm already under the knife. I'm already put to sleep. I do not feel like, especially when you're dealing with your appearance, that that's necessarily the way to go. Only do it, in my opinion, if you need it, because you can always go back later. And some of the things, like a bleph, can be done under not full anesthesia. So I think you just need to base your decision on what you actually need and not just try to knock it all out. That can be my personality sometimes, but not with this. Now, the last thing that I want to say is specifically about my facelift is, along with my facelift, I did a CO2 laser and I did some lipo on my abdomen. And I will get to my tummy tuck. That was actually in 2 years before my facelift. When I did my tummy tuck, I opted not to get lipo. That was not a good decision. I feel like that is one of the things, if you're getting a tummy tuck, you're under, you're there, get the lipo. If there's anything to suction out, get it sucked out, because I promise you from my experience, it's not going to go away after the surgery and it will still bother you. And you've tightened and you've tucked everything back, but you've still got pockets of fat. I didn't get that, so I threw that in when I got my facelift 2 years after my mommy makeover. But I do want to say that was super, super easy. But the CO2 laser, I had it done along with my facelift. It was a fantastic choice. CO2, the recovery for that was about as long or longer than for the actual facelift because it causes, there'll be bleeding, there'll be oozing, but the results are fantastic. Now, the CO2 laser, unlike the facelift, which is pulling and repositioning and tightening, a CO2 laser is for texture. And it does cause some tightening as well, but it gives you an overall texture. It's basically giving you fresh new skin, and it has been fantastic. But with the facelift, and this is number 10, it is not a one and done with the facelift or the CO2. Just like when we go get our hair highlighted or our nails done, we're not like, whew, I'm glad I got that done so I can quit. You have to go back. You have to maintain. You have to still try to treat your hair well. We can't just go exercise once and then be done. We have to continue to maintain and to keep up a regimen. After a facelift, you are still going to have, as time passes, you will have wasting of the face. A facelift will tighten the skin, but you're still, especially if you lose weight, you're going to have areas that you need or might choose to have filler. I still get Sculptra filler almost every other time that I go to get Botox because my face I have wasting. My temples sink. Sometimes my cheeks sink, so I'll have injectables. That doesn't go away when you have a facelift. CO2 laser, you still want to use your products. You want to have chemical exfoliation. You want to use your vitamin C and your Retin-A. You still want to maintain the results after you've had these procedures because you've gone under, you've spent the time, you've spent the money. So you want to do the best you can to keep those great results. But I will say, overall, I could not be happier. I was thrilled right after it. This is 3 years this month. I'm still thrilled. I feel like it is something I would do 100 times over. I will tell you, I'm fully aware that I did not have the option, the deep plane, that I will probably more quickly than friends and family who got a deep plane or something more dramatic. I'll probably start reverting back more quickly than they will, but I'm okay with that. I just want to, as I age, I want to do what I can as best I can, but I don't want to try to be something that I'm not. I am 60. I am not 40. So for me to walk around with a 40-year-old face, that's just not reasonable to me. But I feel like what I did and what I'll continue to do, the maintenance, will hopefully have me in a place where I'm accepting of growing old, but yet still availing myself of things that help me look younger along the way. So hope this was helpful. I appreciate all of you so much. I'm always open with any questions you might have. And on my next episode, I will share the Mommy Makeover that I had in September of 2021. I'll share the details about that. That's another one that I loved, happy with. Do have some things that I would do differently about that one, but stay tuned. That one will be coming in either the next week or the next. But love talking girl talk. And as always, I'm grateful for all of you who are watching or listening. And until next time, you have a fabulous rest of your day.